Let me tell you something right now. You were not put on this earth to just survive, you were born to thrive. Life doesn't care how many times you've been knocked down. It cares about one thing. What are you going to do about it? You've been through pain. You've faced loss, failure, disappointment, maybe even betrayal. But guess what? That's not your ending, that's your awakening. Right now, in this moment, you have a choice. You can stay stuck in the story that limits you, or you can tear down everything that's held you back and rebuild the strongest, most unstoppable version of yourself. Brick by brick, thought by thought, action by action. This is your call to rise. This is your time. No more excuses. No more waiting. No more looking back. Because the version of you that's about to emerge, they're a warrior, a leader, a force of nature. So get ready. It's time to rebuild yourself, and this time, you're building something unshakable. Everything begins with awareness. You can't change what you're not willing to confront, and you can't rebuild until you break down what's no longer serving you. Most people live their entire lives trapped in invisible prisons built from old patterns, outdated beliefs, emotional scars, and the stories they keep repeating to themselves. Stories like, I'm not good enough, this is just the way I am, or it's too late for me. These patterns run deep. They're wired into your nervous system, and until you bring them to the surface and rip them out by the roots, they'll keep pulling the strings behind the scenes. If you want to rebuild yourself, the first step isn't changing your job, your relationship, or your surroundings. It's changing what's happening inside. Because real transformation doesn't start with the external, it starts with the internal architecture of who you believe you are. Most of us were programmed from childhood. We were told what's possible and what's not. We were shaped by fear, rejection, and failure, and without even realizing it, we started forming patterns of thought and behavior to protect ourselves, but those very patterns are now the cage keeping us small. You've got to look at the parts of your life that are on autopilot. Where are you sabotaging yourself? Where are you settling? Where do you keep repeating the same problems in different forms? If your relationships always fall apart, if your goals always fizzle out, if your self-doubt always finds a way to creep back, and that's not coincidence. That's a pattern, and every pattern has a payoff. Maybe playing small keeps you safe. Maybe procrastinating gives you a way out if things don't go your way. Maybe anger gives you control. But here's the truth. As long as you protect those patterns, they will continue to protect your limitations. And that has to stop now. This is the moment where you get brutally honest with yourself. No more sugarcoating, no more spiritual bypassing, no more pretending. You sit with your fear, you face your pain. You dig deep and ask, what patterns have I been repeating that no longer belong in the life I'm creating? You might cry, you might get angry, you might feel shame. Good. That means you're waking up. Because you cannot rebuild what you refuse to demolish. You can't put new paint over a broken foundation and expect it to stand strong. You have to tear it down, every lie, every excuse, every coping mechanism that helped you survive but is now stopping you from living. This is not about blame. This is about liberation. When you break the pattern, you break the cycle. And when you break the cycle, you give yourself the gift of freedom, the freedom to choose again, to think again, to become again. This is where you shift from being the victim of your story to being the author of a new one. And it starts with taking back your power from the past. Maybe you were hurt. Maybe people let you down. Maybe you were never taught how to believe in yourself. That's real, but it doesn't have to define you anymore. You don't rebuild by pretending the past didn't happen. You rebuild by declaring it no longer has the right to control you. Now, this work isn't sexy. It's not quick. You can't slap on a quote or read a motivational post and expect everything to change. Breaking patterns requires courage. It requires consistency. It requires you to show up for yourself when it's uncomfortable, when it's messy, when it's easier to slip back into old ways. But here's the beautiful part. The more you challenge the pattern, the weaker it becomes. Every time you pause and respond instead of react, you're rewiring your brain. Every time you set a boundary you used to avoid, you're reshaping your identity. Every time you catch yourself in a loop of negative talk, and choose to shift it even just slightly, you're laying a new brick in the foundation of your rebuilt self. And with each brick, something incredible starts to happen. You begin to trust yourself again. You realize you're not broken, you were just buried under years of conditioning. You realize you're not a failure, you've just been repeating strategies that never worked to begin with. And most importantly, you realize that the power to rebuild was always inside you, you just had to clear the rubble to find it. So the next time that voice of fear shows up, the one that says, "What if I can't?" Or "What if I fail again?" answer it with this: "What if this time I don't? What if this is the moment I break the cycle for good? What if this is the first day of the rest of my life, not defined by who I've been, but by who I choose to become?" Because the truth is, you're not starting over with nothing. You're starting over with wisdom, with experience, with fire in your soul. You've seen what doesn't work. You've felt the pain of staying the same, and now that pain becomes your fuel, that clarity becomes your compass. That decision to break the pattern and reclaim your power becomes the cornerstone of everything you build from this point forward. This is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of the most powerful chapter yet. The moment you decide to take full ownership of your life is the moment everything begins to change. Real power isn't about controlling the outside world, it's about mastering what's happening inside of you. If you want to rebuild yourself, you must take a hard, honest look at one truth that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. No one is coming to save you. Not your parents, not your boss, not your partner, not your friends, and not your past. As painful as it may be, the reality is that you are responsible for the life you create, and until you own that fully, nothing will shift. We live in a world where blame has become a way of life. We point fingers at our upbringing, our circumstances, the economy, our ex, our trauma, our teachers, our culture. And while those things may have influenced us, they do not define us unless we allow them to. There's a difference between what happened to you and what you choose to do now. Because no matter how valid your pain is, and yes, it is valid, it's not a permission slip to live small, to stay stuck, or to keep waiting for someone else to fix what only you can change. Owning your power means no more outsourcing your happiness, no more blaming your parents for what they didn't give you, no more waiting for someone to believe in you before you believe in yourself, no more expecting life to be fair. Life isn't fair, but it's truthful. It gives you what you're willing to tolerate. It reflects back your standards. If you're not getting what you want, it's not because the universe is against you, it's because you haven't demanded more from yourself yet. This is the wake-up call. Right now, at this very moment, you are writing the next chapter of your life with every thought, every belief, every action you take. And if that chapter isn't going the way you want, then you must own that too. Because the moment you take full responsibility, radical responsibility, is the moment you take your power back. You're no longer a victim. You're no longer reacting. You are creating. Responsibility isn't about guilt or shame, it's about freedom. It means you're no longer shackled to the past. It means your energy is no longer wasted on excuses. It means you finally understand that the life you crave is not waiting for you, it's depending on you. On your choices, on your standards, on your decision to rise instead of retreat. You want to rebuild. Then own the fact that your results are a reflection of what you've accepted, not what you've deserved. You don't get what you're worth, you get what you settle for. If your standards are low, your results will be too. If you tolerate people who disrespect you, your relationships will never rise above that. If you allow fear to drive your decisions, you'll keep building a life based on safety instead of passion. But if you raise your standards, if you say, no more, if you decide that nothing less than extraordinary is acceptable, that's when you become dangerous. That's when the world starts to respond to you differently, because you're showing up differently. The truth is, most people don't lack potential, they lack ownership. They keep waiting for perfect conditions or someone else to give them permission. But there is no perfect moment. There is only now, and your power lives in this moment. Not in the next job, not in the next relationship, not in the next motivational video, right here, right now. in your willingness to take control of the controllables and stop giving your power away to things that don't serve you. Maybe your past was chaotic. Maybe your childhood was broken. Maybe you've been betrayed, rejected, humiliated, abandoned. But the people who hurt you are not the ones rebuilding your life, you are. And every time you point the finger at them, you give them power they don't deserve. You stay energetically tied to them. Cut the cord. Own your now. That doesn't mean you forget, it means you stop letting the pain write your future. And here's what no one tells you. Once you truly own your power, you become unstoppable, not because life gets easier, but because you stop shrinking in the face of challenges. You develop resilience, grit, fire, the kind of inner strength that doesn't need applause, that doesn't flinch when things get hard, that doesn't crumble when life throws a punch, because you know you've got you now. You've become your own hero. That's what rebuilding yourself is all about. It's about realizing that no matter how much has been taken from you, you still have everything you need to create something extraordinary. You still have your mind, your spirit, your will. You still have the ability to choose better, to demand more, to rise higher. No one can take that from you unless you hand it over. So don't. Instead, commit. Commit to being the kind of person who doesn't wait for life to change but changes life through sheer force of will. Commit to showing up every day as someone who's building, brick by brick, a life rooted in strength, passion, purpose, and truth. Commit to refusing to settle for average when greatness lives inside you. Because the most powerful transformation begins when you finally say, "This is my life, and I take full responsibility for every part of it, the good, the bad, the broken, and the beautiful. I'm not waiting for a sign. I am the sign. I'm not waiting for a savior. I am the solution, and from this day forward, I own my power fully, fiercely, unapologetically." You want to rebuild, then stop waiting, start choosing, start leading, start owning every breath, every step, every inch of your evolution, and don't look back. If you want to change your life, you must first change your mind. Everything, your emotions, your actions, your results flows from your thinking. But here's the truth most people ignore. You cannot rebuild your life with the same mindset that built your breakdown. You can't move into your future carrying beliefs from your past. Rewiring your mindset is not optional, it's essential. Because your mind is either your prison or your power, your sabotage or your strategy. And the thoughts you allow, the story you repeat, and the focus you choose, they're building your life moment by moment, whether you realize it or not. Most people never stop to examine the quality of their thoughts. They wake up, react to the world, and run on mental autopilot. Same negative inner dialogue, same self-doubt, same fears, same habits, and then they wonder why nothing changes. But here's the thing, your thoughts are the foundation of your identity. You are what you consistently think, and you become what you believe to be true. If your inner world is filled with thoughts like "I'm not good enough," "This never works for me," "I always mess things up," or "I can't do this," then your external world will reflect that belief system. Your mindset creates your reality. So if you want to rebuild, you have to start at the core. You must retrain your mind like a muscle. You wouldn't expect a weak, untrained body to run a marathon, so why expect a reactive, fear-driven mind to build a powerful, purpose-filled life? You must become a mental warrior. You must take control of your focus, your self-talk, and your interpretations. You must decide that your mind is no longer allowed to bully you, deceive you, or limit you. And that takes daily discipline. Start by noticing the pattern. Become aware of the inner dialogue that plays on repeat. Catch those moments where your mind defaults to fear, hesitation, or self-judgment. Then challenge it, interrupt it, rewire it. When you hear "I can't," ask "Why not?" When you think "I always fail," say "I'm learning." When your brain tries to protect you from risk, remind yourself that growth lives outside comfort. You must take your power back from the stories you've inherited, absorbed, or created over time, because most of them were designed for survival, not for greatness. Rewiring your mind, it isn't about toxic positivity. It's not about pretending everything is fine when it's not. It's about upgrading your mental operating system so that it serves your vision instead of your fear. That means you choose to focus on possibilities instead of problems. You look for lessons instead of losses. You see rejection as redirection, failure as feedback, pain as power. It's not denial, it's decision. You are deciding to feed the part of you that believes, that pushes forward, that refuses to let the past dictate the future. You've got to feed your mind every single day just like your body. You don't eat once and expect to be full for life. You don't train once and expect to stay fit forever. Your mind is no different. You must condition it. That means reading things that elevate you, listening to voices that challenge you, surrounding yourself with energy that uplifts you, journaling your thoughts, speaking affirmations with conviction, visualizing the future you're building so vividly that your mind starts to believe it's already real. And yes, it will feel fake at first. Your brain will resist. It will try to pull you back into the familiar because it equates familiar with safe. That's the job of your nervous system, to keep you alive, not to make you thrive. But you weren't put on this earth to just exist. You were built to grow, to evolve, to expand. And that requires a mindset that doesn't just survive adversity, it uses it. You must teach your mind to see struggle not as a stop sign, but as a signal that you're leveling up. Every time you shift a negative thought into a powerful one, you're laying a new neural pathway. Every time you refuse to entertain doubt, you're reinforcing confidence. Every time you act in alignment with your vision, even when your old identity screams that's not who you are, you're rewiring the blueprint of your life. Change happens in micro moments stacked over time. You don't wake up one day with an unstoppable mindset. You build it, brick by brick, repetition by repetition, challenge by challenge. And don't just stop at the thoughts. Upgrade your language too. Stop calling yourself lazy, broken, unlucky, or weak. Your subconscious hears everything. Speak with power. I'm figuring it out. I'm learning to lead. I'm stepping into my strength. I get better every single day. Say it until you believe it. Believe it until you become it. You cannot speak defeat and expect to live in victory. Your words are declarations, and what you declare you attract. Rebuilding your mindset also means choosing your focus. Where focus goes, energy flows. Most people focus on what's wrong, what's missing, what's hard, and that becomes their reality. But leaders, warriors, creators, they focus on what's next. They look at what's possible. They take inventory of their strengths, their lessons, their vision. You don't rise by accident, you rise by intention. And that means being ruthlessly disciplined about what you allow into your mental space. If you hang around negative people, your mind absorbs it. If you consume constant chaos, your nervous system stays in survival mode. If you let fear run your decisions, you'll keep building a life inside the lines of your comfort zone, and nothing great happens there. So cut the noise, protect your peace, create an environment that nourishes your growth. You are the gatekeeper of your mind, and what you allow in stays in. Be selective, be intentional, be fierce. Here's the bottom line. Your life will never outperform your mindset. If your thinking is weak, reactive, and fear-based, your results will reflect that. But if your mind is strong, focused, and future-driven, you become unshakable. You don't avoid hard times, you rise through them. You don't fear setbacks, you use them. You don't get stuck in problems, you become the solution. That's the power of a rewired mindset. You are not your thoughts, but you are responsible for managing them. And when you do, you become the kind of person who doesn't just change their circumstances, you change your destiny. You become the leader of your life, the architect of your future, the unstoppable force that rebuilds not just who you are, but what's possible for everyone around you. So train your mind, feed it daily, protect it fiercely, and align it with the version of you that you're rebuilding into the one who is ready, not someday, but now.